Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm coming at you with my December TBR slash Merry and Bright Readathon TBR. So I actually want to start off with the books that I'm planning on reading for the Merry and Bright Readathon. So this readathon is run by Chandler Ainsley and Zoe Reads. I believe there's a third co-host, but I can't remember their name. I'm so sorry. But this readathon, it's running from December 9th through December 15th, and there are about, I believe, 7 prompts, and I'll go through them and show you what books I'm planning on reading for the Merry and Bright Readathon. There's also some photo challenges that I'm really excited about because I'm already planning like what pictures I'm going to be posting on my Instagram for this. So I'm stoked, and I'm actually going to be vlogging this readathon, and I'm going to be going to like a cozy cabin on a little cozy cabin getaway. So I'm really stoked to be vlogging this readathon. So yeah, I'm just gonna get into it because I have a lot of books that I want to read in the month of December, and I don't know how I'm gonna read all of these, but pray for me. That's all I have to say. So the first prompt, it's Winter Wonderland, and it is to read a book with white on the cover. And I will say that for a lot of these reading prompts I have like 1 or 2 books because I really wanted to mood read for the month of December, and also get to a lot of books that I've been saying that I was going to read for like the whole year and never got to. So yeah, that's what's happening here. So for that prompt, I do have 2 options, and these options will come up later in the video again. So the first one is Rock, Paper, Scissors, oh my god, I can't speak, by Alice Feeney, and this one is a bit of a thriller novel. So this one is about a married couple who's having some issues, and they are gifted this like getaway, I believe it is to Scotland. Yes, they win a weekend away in Scotland, but there's something fishy there. Like, it wasn't really that they wanted. One of them did something, and actually one of our main characters, I believe, is the husband. He is what's that called? He has lived with phase blindness his whole life, and I actually had to look this up because I had no idea what this meant. So look it up if you don't know. It's hard for me to explain because I still kind of don't get it, so I'm excited to read about it so I can learn a bit more. To me, it gives me cozy vibes. It's a bit of like a cozy thriller to me because it's kind of like in an isolated cabin in the middle of the woods. Something creepy is happening, so I'm really stoked to read this. So this one is one of the options for white on the cover, obviously a lot of white. And then another book that I've been meaning to get to is We Are The Brennans by Tracy Lang, and this one's more of a contemporary kind of fiction family book. So this one is about, like, I think she's like 20, yeah, she's 29 years old, and this lady, she's in a drunk driving accident that she caused, and because she's like, I'm assuming that she'll be injured, she kind of has to go back home and live with her family, and she's kind of been avoiding them for a really long time, so she doesn't really talk to her family, and her family is Irish, I believe. So yeah, her family's like Irish, and she goes back home, and there's like a lot of tension, and her siblings kind of resent her for kind of leaving and not talking to them. So I think it's going to be a lot of like family drama. I did watch the movie Brooklyn with Saoirse Ronan, and that one follows like an Irish family. It is set in a different time, and I believe this one's more like present time, but I have been wanting to read this for a long time. So this is another book with white on the cover that I'm really stoked to get to. So for the next prompt, we have Hot Cocoa, and this one is read a book with cozy vibes, and for that one I also have both of these books as options. Rock, Paper, Scissors, and We Are The Brennans. So those are 2 options, but also I do have another book that I want to get to, and that is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Someone gifted me this. I wonder, I do have the note. So Mackenzie Reads gifted me this, I think about a year ago, and I still haven't read it. So this one is kind of like about the afterlife, and I guess once you're dead you kind of go to this library. It's kind of a library in between life and death. So you kind of go there, and there are all of these books that you can kind of read, and you kind of read about like your life if you had made different choices. So I've heard mixed things because I've heard a lot of people praise this book, but then others were very, very disappointed. So it's kind of hard to tell where I'm gonna land on that. So yes, but I'm really excited to read. The next prompt is Elf on the Shelf, and it's a book that you already own. So literally any of these books that I'm going to be talking about count, because I've owned all of these books for a while. And the reason why I have so many options is because I want to get to all of these by the end of the year. So Elf on the Shelf, it's any of these books, to be honest. The next prompt is Last Christmas, and it is to read a book you purchased last year and never read. So honestly, the Midnight Library could count towards that, even though I didn't personally purchase it. But yes, this could count. But another option that I also have is the 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle. I have had this on my physical TBR. I think this is the longest book that I've had on my physical TBR. So basically this one follows this man, I forget like the era that this is set, so excuse me for that, I'm sorry. It is kind of like set at a dinner party and someone dies. I believe Evelyn Hardcastle dies, and the POV of this book is this man who attends this dinner party, but he keeps reliving the same night over and over until he figures out who killed Evelyn Hardcastle. But every time that he wakes up in a body of a different person that was at this dinner party. I hope that makes sense. This is giving me like major like Clue vibes, so I'm really excited. Murder mystery. It kind of sounds like a Agatha Christie. It sounds like an Agatha Christie novel, so I'm really excited. This is also giving me really cozy vibes, so hopefully I get to this for this read. The next book is The Grinch, and it is to read an enemies to lovers or an unreliable narrator. So for that one, I'm hoping to read Survive the Night by Riley Sager. I can't believe that I haven't read this yet. I was hoping to read this in October, never got to it, but basically this book is set in kind of like a college campus, and there is a serial killer on the loose, and our main character wants to go home for a holiday. I don't remember which holiday, but she wants to go home, and there's kind of like this ride share thing at their college campus. Takes a ride with someone else on the campus, and she ends up being in a car with the college campus serial killer, or at least she thinks is the serial killer on the college campus. Really excited to read this. It's kind of like also like an isolated setting because they're in a car and she can't really go anywhere, so we'll see how that plays out. I don't think I've ever read a book that is set in such a small setting, I guess. But yeah, and this one's also set in like 24 hours, so that's exciting. Yeah, I'm really excited to read this. And the last prompt for the Merry Bright Readathon is Baby It's Cold Outside, and it is to read a dual perspective book. And for that, I am hoping to read A Vow So Bold and Deadly by Bridget Kemmerer. I can't believe that I haven't read this yet. So this is the finale for the Curse Breaker series. The first book is called A Curse So Dark and Lonely, and it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and I adored that book. I adore Bridget Kemmerer's writing. I think her characters are really, really strong, and for me, her writing is very, very addictive. So I know that I'm going to fly through this book. I can't really talk too much about what this book is about without spoiling A Curse So Dark and Lonely, but like I said, it is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, and it does have dual perspective. I believe this one might have like 4 or more, so I'm really excited to finally finish this series because I just read Defy the Night by Bridget Kemmerer this month, and again, her writing is just so good. I love it specifically, so yes, this is the one that I'm hoping to read for that prompt. So those are all of the books that I'm planning on reading for the Merry and Bright Readathon, but there are a couple more books that I'm hoping to read for the month of December. I am traveling to Puerto Rico. I leave December 23rd and come back January 2nd, so I'll be over there for about 11 days. So I am planning on taking some books with me. So first off, another book that I really want to read in the month of December is The Broken Girls by Simone St. James, and this is Jan's full moon book club pick for the month of December. I'm really excited to read this book. This is kind of a thriller mystery novel, and it is set in dual timelines. So one of the timelines is in Vermont in 1950s, and the other timeline is in 2014. So basically this book is set in this very small town, and there is like this famous kind of boarding school that takes kind of troubled girls, and someone is murdered at this boarding school called Idlewood, I believe. And then the present timeline, which is in 2014, it's a journalist woman who is kind of trying to figure out what happened, this murder, and the murdered girl happens to be her sister, her older sister. So 20 years later, she's trying to figure out what happened. Another book that I'm hoping to read in the month of December, well, not hoping, I have to read it because this is my pick for my book club. It is Dreaming of You by Melissa Losada Oliva. So this one is a novel written in verse, and it is about Melissa and kind of like a dream that she has where she resurrects pop star Selena Quintanilla, and all of the chapters are kind of nods to Selena Quintanilla's songs and albums, and I'm really excited to read this. I am Latinx, so I love Selena Quintanilla, so I'm really excited to read this. And like I mentioned, this is the Brujas and Books book club pick for the month of December, so if you'd like to read this with us, please do. It's a very short novel, so I am excited to discuss this. Okay, I'm gonna go very quickly through the last 4 books that I do want to read for the month of December. Will I get to these? Probably not. So I do want to read Vicious in the month of December. I feel like it would be a really nice, like, atmospheric type of book. So this one is kind of about these 2 boys that are in college together, and they've been doing a lot of research and experimenting, and they find out with all of the research that they've made that they could actually have like abilities and like superpowers. So it's kind of like a graphic novel type of story, I guess. Really excited to read this. Yeah, it's kind of about villains, so we shall see, because I don't know, I don't really love superhero stuff, but this does sound interesting. And I have only read one other book by V. Schwab that I didn't really love, which was Addie LaRue. So I am willing to give V. Schwab another try, but we'll see if I like this one. The next book that I really want to read in the month of December, I have so many books that I want to read, and I know that I'm not going to get to all of these, but it's fine. It is White Smoke by Tiffany D. Jackson. I have read, oh, not the note. I have read Grown by Tiffany D. Jackson, and I feel like this one is a very different vibe. So I remember seeing that this book was kind of like The Haunting of Hill House mixed with something else, and I totally forgot what it was. But when I read the description, it really reminded me of Home Before Dark and like The Haunting of Hill House. So it's basically mostly about like a haunted house, and you don't really know if the things that are happening are supernatural or if there's like a real person doing these things. So really excited to read this. Tiffany D. Jackson's writing is also really good and like addicting to me, so I'm hoping to get to this in the month of December.
Okay, the last 2, I need to get to these because I have a meeting in literally 10 minutes. So
the next book that I really want to get to, which was another book that I was hoping to read in October, is The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I really loved My Best Friend's Exorcism by him. Didn't love the Southern Book Club's Guide, whatever, the Slain Vampires book. Didn't really love that one, so we'll see how I feel about this one. But this one's basically, like it says on the title, it's about this support group, and it's all consisted of final girls that have survived like these massacres. And then someone starts targeting them and killing off all of these girls in the support group one by one. So I do like Grady Hendrix's humor, and he's really good at writing like really disgusting scenes. But I don't know why the Slaying of Vampires just wasn't my thing. But hopefully this one's a little bit more like My Best Friend's Exorcism, and maybe I'll enjoy it a bit more. But yeah, I'm hoping to also read this one in December, but we'll see if I get to it. And then the last book that I want to read in the month of December, I literally have 6 minutes till my meeting, it's Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. And I just realized that like I read all the descriptions for all of these books to be prepared for this video last night, and this was the only one that I didn't look up. So I know that it's sci-fi, but I don't know much about what this book's actually about. But Cami from Borrows and Books read her first Brandon Sanderson book. I can't remember if she's read this one. I think so. But she really loved it. I believe this is kind of like a mix of fantasy and sci-fi. So I'm really excited to read this book, and this one was actually gifted to me by Christine from the Romance Digest, so thank you so much. But yeah, this is another book that I'm hoping to read in the month of December. Alright, so those are all of the books. I literally have 5 minutes until my meeting, but those are all of the books that I'm planning on reading in the month of December. Like I said, obviously I will be participating in the Merry and Bright Readathon, and I will be going to Puerto Rico, and I will be vlogging that as well. So yeah, expect a Merry and Bright Readathon vlog and a Christmas Puerto Rico reading vlog. I have about 14 books that I want to read this month, and that's not gonna happen. But yeah, I'm excited. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.